everybody, it's Chris Ease, and on the line is Wootini here with another Gay Gamer video podcast for you. This week, I went to the movies to see The Monkey, and it was fucking hilarious. Hysterical. It's so dark, twisted, and so wrong, and it's a little creepy, I guess. It's not necessarily scary. Instead of jump scares, there's jump laughs, because some of the deaths are so outrageous and over the top and just incredibly audacious that I just bust out laughing, like loudly, multiple times. I laughed out loud multiple times during this movie because it was so bonkers, and I was just like, oh my god, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So very hilarious. And I highly recommend it if you would enjoy a good gory black comedy about lots of deaths. Theo James is very pretty, as one character mentions in the movie. Although, for some reason, his American accent makes him sound like Jeff Goldblum sometimes, which was a little distracting here and there. Though I do also want to give props to the kid who played the younger version of the twins, because it wasn't until the end credits that I saw that it was just one kid playing both kids. He was amazing. I spent the first chunk of the movie, when the kids were there, like, believing that these twins were being played by actual twins. Not one kid with photography and editing and whatever. So, good on you. If you do go see The Monkey, stay for the credits, because at the end of the credits, there's not another haha tag with another death or anything. At the end of the credits, there is a teaser for his next movie called Keeper, which looks like it might be kind of disturbing and more along the lines of Longlegs. So we shall see. It just said coming soon, so I don't know. But as long as Osgood Perkins keeps making these weird, twisted little dark movies, I will go see them, because they've all been good. This one was just particularly entertaining because it's just fun and crowd-pleasing, and it's not, weird and artsy, so I recommend The Monkey. As for games, I forgot to mention in the last episode, Sony did a state of play and showed off a bunch of games. The problem was I forgot to mention it last week's episode because there wasn't anything in there that really caught my eye and made me go, ooh, can't wait to play that. So, totally forgot to mention it last episode. So I'm mentioning it this episode, and there's nothing to talk about. So, whatever. I don't even know why I brought it up. There was this one thing I wanted to mention, though, is that I've had some more issues with my Xbox. Not bad ones, obviously, but just those things. I've mentioned this in previous episodes. Since getting my Xbox Series S, there's those things that Microsoft just doesn't do as well as Sony and Nintendo. I was playing the game, and all of a sudden, the controller went dead, and the game is like, hey, you have to connect the controller to play. And I was like, it's right here, and I'm pressing the button and nothing's happening. And I suddenly realized, oh, the batteries died. Because I recently I had put batteries in it, because it's not a rechargeable controller like the Nintendo Pro controller or the PlayStation 5 controller. It uses regular batteries. Still. It's annoying. But I had just put some batteries in so that I could start playing, and they ended up lasting quite some time. And I recently replaced them with the rechargeable battery pack that I had gotten for Christmas. And so I didn't charge it. It had a decent charge, so I was like, well, I'll just play this. But they died pretty quickly. And thankfully, the charge and play kit comes with this super long, like 8-foot cable, so I can sit here on the couch and plug it into my controller and plug it into my Xbox, and I can sit here and play, and I'm not interrupted by my batteries dying. So I can keep playing, it'll charge while I'm playing, and that's lovely. But I was kind of confused because I didn't get a notification that the batteries were dying. Whereas, like, Sony and Nintendo, you get a pop-up. So I went looking online, because I was like, why was there no pop-up? You'd think that they would give you a heads up. What the hell, Microsoft? But then it turns out there is a pop-up with a low battery warning. The problem is that I'd forgotten that when I first got my Xbox Series S, I had turned off notifications because I was installing all this stuff, and it just was pop, 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 and it was really annoying. I was downloading 400 songs for Rock Band, so like every minute it was like ping, 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 and I was like, no, we're turning this off. So I turned them back on, so that now I will get a low battery warning. And it's nice because I did, when I took a screenshot during Starfield, I got a notification that I had taken a screenshot. And I'm like, oh, that's helpful. Because now I'll know if it worked or not. Because sometimes I'll take a screenshot and then it'll be like, no, that didn't take for whatever reason. Because the button is busted or you're not on the internet or whatever. So that's helpful. But what wasn't helpful was I was playing, and then I finished playing, and I shut down my Xbox, and I put the controller down, and I was like, wait, is it still charging? And I don't know, because I don't know if the Xbox is set to continue charging through the USB when it's off. Because I know in the PlayStation, you can set it to not do it, or to do it, or to do it for a little while, or whatever, like for power saving settings. And I was like, I don't want to turn my Xbox back on and poke through the settings. I'll just look it up online. And well, actually, first what I did was I said, I'll just plug it into my computer, which is on, and I'll plug it into the USB thing in the back, But the problem was, the controller, I plugged it in, the controller vibrated for a second, and then that was it. No light went on or anything. I was like, well, it can't be charged already. And what happened was, I had to look that up too, and because the instructions that come with the plug and play are useless. So I looked it up, and apparently the Xbox Series S, it will charge when it is shut down. So that's good. So I plugged it back into my Xbox, which then annoyingly turned my Xbox on, so I had to shut it down again. So I left it overnight to charge, because you have no way of knowing when it's charged. People are like, how can you tell? And they're like, oh, just go into your controller settings in your Xbox and it'll tell you. And they're like, no, when it's not on, because I get it that the Xbox controller is supposed to use regular batteries. Fine. Whereas the PlayStation and the Nintendo controllers, they have lights on them so that they will show you when they're charging. And that's great. The problem is the Xbox doesn't have that. And apparently, the previous version of the plug and charge play thing, the charge and play on the Xbox One, which I never bought because I never played my Xbox One enough to need it, there was a light on the charging cable, and it would be red for charging and green for done. But for whatever reason, the charge and play for the Series X and S, there's no light anymore. So you just leave it overnight and it'll charge, and then the next day you're good to go. Pardon me. The thing is that I'm going to be curious to see how long the rechargeable batteries last, because the AA's that I put in, like the Energizers or whatever they were, when I first got my Xbox, they lasted months. Now I don't play my Xbox as much as I play my PlayStation, which gets charged every few weeks, I feel. But I'm also wondering if, now that I'm using this rechargeable battery pack, if that's not going to have as long a battery life as actual batteries, because it's recharging and it's going to drain faster. So we'll see how often I have to charge my Xbox controller batteries. Because I am not playing Starfield as much as I play, Disney and Nikki on the PS5. Though I have been playing quite a bit of Starfield, and I did want to talk about Starfield, and I like Starfield, but it isn't exactly what I wanted it to be, now that I've played it for months, because it isn't the same kind of open world that you get in the other Bethesda games like Fallout or Skyrim. In Starfield, it's a huge open world of all of these different systems and all of these different planets, but it's all done through fast travel. you fast travel from system to system, and then inside the system you fast travel from planet to planet, and then you pick a place to land, and then there's a cutscene as you land. And it's not like No Man's Sky where you like jaunt to another system and then you're like, I'm going to fly to that planet, and you literally fly to the planet, land on the planet, get out of your ship, do whatever, get back in your ship, fly up into space, and fly to another planet. And it never breaks the illusion, you know? Whereas in Starfield, you go back in your ship, and then it's like, okay, go into a menu, pick a system, pick a planet, pick a landing spot, and then, you know, it's all menus and cutscenes to get you where you're going. And that pulls you out of it, and it's not as immersive, you know? And it's not like, you know, Fallout or Skyrim or something where it's, or any other open world game where you are supposed to go over to that location for your next mission, and on your way there, you'll be like, oh, what's this building? Oh, what's that settlement? Oh, what's this statue? Oh, what's this over here? And you'll run into those little side quests as you go, and you'll get distracted, and then you'll go back to the main mission because you're now at that location. Here, that doesn't really happen. You do run into side quests like in cities and stuff. You'll like pass people or overhear conversations, or you'll talk to somebody and they'll be like, you know, I need help with this. And you'll be like, okay, sure. Or fuck off, I'm too busy. I don't want to help you. Depending on your mood. But it's weird because it's like you do encounter those side quests and those pile up. But then there's also like other quests that aren't side quests. There's the faction missions. Like there's the main mission with the main story, and then there's like faction missions because like I'm doing the UC Vanguard missions as well as the Freestar Ranger missions. There's another faction that I'm like, I don't want to do because there's already too much to do and I don't want more. And there's also, I think there's a whole pirate thing where you can become a space pirate, and I'm like, I definitely don't want to do that because I'm always a good guy. Mostly. So like, but it's interesting because it's like the Vanguard mission and the Freestar Ranger missions, these faction missions aren't like a side mission. It's not like, oh, here's a side mission. Here's another side mission. Now go back to the main mission. It's like they have their own multi-quest storylines, and it's like a whole game in and of itself, you know? So it's like there's a lot to do in Starfield. There's too much to do, I think. But like, so I'm limiting myself to just the main and then the two factions that I'm doing. But like, also, you don't just do it. It's not like the side quests where you can just do the side quests, because sometimes they're quick and easy, and sometimes there's a few stages where you got to go to a couple of planets and do a couple of things, and then you come back and you're like, okay, we're done. The faction missions are like huge, and it's like, here is a huge mission with a lot of stuff to do. Okay, next step, huge bunch of stuff to do on that one, you know. And there's a whole long storyline there for each quest and each main storyline there. So like I was doing the Vanguard mission, and I was like, this was a little bit challenging. So I'm like, let me pause the Vanguard mission and I'll go back and do a Freestar Ranger mission. And then that one was a little bit easier, you know, because I need to like swap between them as I'm leveling up, because you can't just like do one all the way through. I think that would be a little challenging, because you wouldn't be leveling up enough by just doing one mission thread. You have to, I feel like you need to be swapping back and forth between them. The problem with that is that open world games are always difficult for me because I lose track of the main storyline, because I get bogged down in side quests and I get distracted easily. And then I get back to the main storyline. I was like, wait, what were we doing? Here the main storyline is relatively simple. It's the faction missions that I'm like, I went back to the Freestar Rangers and it's like, go find this woman. And I'm like, okay, why? I don't remember. What are we doing? So I just go through the motions, and then when there's dialogue, I'm like, oh, okay, right, that's what this was about. But it's fine, you know, and I enjoy, you know, working my way through the building and killing everyone inside. It's fun. Because that's when it becomes immersive, is when you're on a planet and you're in a city and you're like exploring and you're like working your way through a building or a space station or something, and you're killing the enemies and you're finding clues and you're, you know, doing the mission and stuff. That's when you get immersive. And then when you finish, it's like, okay, now go back and report. And then it's like, okay, menu, and then it pulls you out of it. So I'm still enjoying Starfield. I just wish that it was more like No Man's Sky, where it wouldn't break the immersion so much. But what are you going to do? I think I've rambled far too much this episode, so I'm going to shut myself up now, and I'll just have more stuff to ramble on about next episode. See you then. Bye!